modern men today have become softened, right? We live in one of the softest periods in history. If you're lucky enough to be based in the Anglosphere anyway, like me, I'm in London. Obviously, we have many people who watch this content who are in the United States or Canada or Australia, Western Europe, etc., etc. So for most of us in most of these places, really, our biggest problem is, oh, this girl ghosted me, or she flaked, or the show that I want to see isn't on Netflix, or I can't get the subtitles working properly, or just this ridiculous nonsense. Okay, we are softened, we are weakened, and we are just a shadow really of our former selves. If you think back to our, how our parents and our grandparents and then our great grandparents were, and some of the privations, that they had to suffer, we are incredibly weak. We're incredibly soft in comparison. Okay. So, how do we toughen up? And in doing so, then make ourselves more attractive to the opposite sex. Because what you have to remember is that ultimate femininity, okay, is attracted to ultimate masculinity, meaning that the more masculine traits that you can emphasize, that you can display, the more feminine and sweet and submissive a woman you are likely to be able to attract, because those opposites attract in general. Okay. In general, obviously, yes, there are some women out there who like more submissive dudes, etc., etc. But we're not talking about the outliers here. We're talking about what happens in general. Okay. So, 5 things that can help you to become more of a savage. Okay. More of a masculine sort of guy. Now, this, of course, is in the context of the fact that testosterone rates are falling globally, and they continue to fall on a yearly basis. Okay. Research shows that testosterone drops in the United States by 1% every single year. Okay. And when you look at the testosterone levels now compared to sort of 30 or 40 years ago, there is a very stark difference in terms of those levels. Okay. Basically, they're a lot lower now. Why is that? Well, there's a variety of reasons. We eat processed foods, there's loads of chemicals in the stuff that we consume. We tend to be sitting around at our desks all of the time and not going out and doing physical activities as much. We're all sitting behind screens, etc., etc., etc. Plus, I think some of these external forces have affected it as well. We are just not required to step up to the plate, or we have not to this point been required to step up to the plate physically in the way that our ancestors were. And so, really, where's the need for the testosterone production if the hardest thing that you have to do is, get up and switch on your TV or switch on your laptop and, you know, sign into Netflix every day. If that's the hardest thing that you're doing on a daily basis, then you don't really need a ton of testosterone in order to make that work. Okay. So without further ado, here are 5 things that you can do in order to become a savage. All right. The first one is training daily. Now, I would recommend a daily training regime. I mean, in saying that, you could do 5 days out of 7. You might want to do 6 days. You might even want to do all 7 days. With that being said, I wouldn't recommend extremely hard training of exactly the same type every single day. Obviously, you need time for recovery. You need time to avoid injuries. You need rest periods, etc., etc., etc. Go and speak to get a trainer, get a personal trainer, or go and speak to an expert. There are plenty of people with fitness channels, etc., that you can go to, and you can get great advice from them. I'm personally working with my personal trainer, Max. We do 5 days on of intensive, basically boxing training and sort of some calisthenics and things like this. And it works really, really well. I then will probably do something milder on the Saturday, maybe like a walk or a swim or something like that. And then on the Sunday, probably have a day of rest. Okay. Um, I would say at least 5 days a week, you want to be doing some sort of training. Okay. If not more. Now, that might be weight training. It might be more like the stuff that I've outlined. It could be something else, but you want to be doing something physical that is getting your body moving, okay, and keeping you in shape. Some people like to veer more towards the what's the word? Some people like to veer more towards the cardio side of things. Some people like to veer more towards the weightlifting side of things. Okay, either way, you want to be doing something. All right, and my adage as far as exercise is concerned is it's always better to do something rather than nothing. So even if you're feeling a bit crap, you get up and you're like, oh, I'm feeling like shit. I really don't feel like it today. Just going in and doing like a 15, 20-minute run at a slow pace is better than doing nothing at all, because at least you're raising your heart rate, you're getting your body moving, okay, and you're making something happen, okay. That's what I recommend. It's worked very, very well for me. Working with a trainer has really revolutionized my own training regime. Okay. I'm in much better shape now than I probably was, I don't know, 8 months or 10 months ago, let's say. So it's really paying some good dividends there. But it depends on your specific goals, your specific objectives, and what it is that you want to do. Regardless, the bottom line is you need to be doing something physical. We live in this ridiculous world where you have to pay a monthly fee to go into a building to pick up very heavy things and then put them down again, okay? Because we just don't have the physical requirements on us that our ancestors used to have. So we have to simulate it, and that's what a gym's for, okay? Well, it's crazy when you think about it like that, but so be it. That's just how it is, okay? Our bodies were designed to move and to work, and you need to be doing that, okay? Number two, and this leads on for the first point, is some form of combat sport, some form of martial arts. Now, I was never a huge exponent of this before. Started doing boxing training, and I think it's hugely beneficial. And there are various reasons for that. Okay, one of them is just the physical exercise that you get through doing it, which is very intense. The other is having some ability to defend yourself should the requirement arise. And once again, I mean, yeah, sure, for sure. I mean, things happen, muggings happen, attacks happen, etc., etc. But for the most part, we're not in a situation where we're at hand-to-hand combat the whole time. Like perhaps people will be forced into those situations in times of war and so on. But up until this point, we've all been fairly lucky with that. But you want to get into that situation, and also just for the pure testosterone of it. Okay, you want to be able to go into a situation and be toe to toe with somebody, and to put up a fight if it becomes necessary. All right, and the effect that this has on the women that you date is profound, because of course women want a protector, they want a provider, but there is nothing really on a visceral level more attractive to a woman than a man who can defend himself physically, okay, or even go on the attack. Although I'm not recommending that, but if you have the capacity to do that, and she can sense that capacity within you, even if you don't exercise it, that's an incredible thing. Okay, that's an incredible turn on for her. But more than that, it's just good for your own self-confidence, for your own self-belief. Once again, I'm not suggesting that you go out there and you randomly get into fights with people or anything like that. It's usually better to walk away. Okay. However, you know, having that skill set there, or at least starting to develop that skill set, will pay dividends in so many areas, and it will help to not artificially, it will help to organically raise your testosterone in a way that's incredibly empowering for you as a man. Okay. Um, Point three is learning to be more disagreeable and even sometimes confrontational. Now, this is a difficult one for many of us, because many of us were brought up to be kind of polite, nice guys, not to rock the boat, to agree with people, to kind of go along with the status quo, etc., etc. And that's all fine. That's all very nice, and it's all very friendly. But what we're not doing is we're not pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. Okay. And quite frankly, a lot of the time we're allowing other people to walk all over us. So actually, a good practice is to decide, okay, on a daily basis, if somebody, I'm not going to go out there looking for an argument. I'm not going to go out there looking for a fight. But if somebody says something that I fundamentally disagree with, I'm going to say that, and I'm just going to let it hang there in the air between us. I'm going to say, no, actually, I disagree with that. I don't think that's right, what you just said. And I'm going to let it hang there in the air, and I'm going to let the chips fall where they may and just see what happens. Okay. Once again, it's something that for many of us, we find very uncomfortable to do, because we're so programmed to just sort of be polite and just kind of accept what people say. We shouldn't be doing that. Okay. We should be standing our ground. And this really goes into, the final point, actually, which is getting out of your comfort zone. But before we do that, I just want to mention point four, which is doing cold approach. That is approaching women that we are attracted to in real life. Okay. This is something that most guys these days don't do, even though I have a channel. I've been talking about this for years. Friends of mine, James Tusk, has been talking about it for years. Obviously, there's many other people talk about this. You talk about dating skills and social skills. Now, social skills, as we know, are being lost somewhat in the modern landscape because of technology. So now dating is conducted through a phone. You don't really need to go out and talk to anybody. You could just sit there in your bedroom and swipe and kind of hope for the best. Unfortunately, for most men, or for many men, depending on where you are in the world and depending what your sexual market value is, the apps don't work very well. Okay. The apps just are not really cutting it. Okay. So, I mean, I was reading an article in the Sunday Times just this morning where a guy was talking about how really minuscule the number of swipes or even matches that he was getting on the apps was. And, compared to women, I mean, the difference is stark in terms of the likelihood of getting a match. For men, it was something like 2.8%. For women, it's 35% likelihood of getting a match. I forget what period that was in, but nevertheless, you can see the stark difference in terms of where men are at, in terms of advantage within the dating marketplace versus where women are at. In other words, women are being deluged with opportunities and men are not. So it's it behooves you to grab your balls and get out there and actually start conversations with women that you think are attractive in real life. Now, that can be in the street, it could be in the shopping mall or whatever. It could be in Starbucks, but equally, it could be at a party. It could be at a festival. It could be at a nightclub. It could be at a bar. This counts for anything really. People used to make this big division between day game and night game as if they're these hugely different things, and really they're not. It's just about talking to women in real life and just having the balls to put it on the line. Okay, so often we recommend just going up and being direct and just saying, "Hey, listen, I saw you. You look cute. I wanted to come over and say hello." Let the chips fall where they may. Now, she might say, "Oh, ha ha ha, that's very nice. Actually, I've got a boyfriend, sorry," and then turn away and look at her phone or something. Well, all right, it was a blowout. Maybe she has got a boyfriend, maybe she hasn't. Doesn't really matter. That's fine. Okay. At least you did it. At least you manned up and did it. And the more that you do it, the more suavely you're going to come across, the more organic it's going to seem, the more authentic it's going to seem. And, you know, inevitably, if you're also working on your general market value, you are going to meet women who like you. Okay. And you are going to start to get some phone numbers and some dates. And then suddenly you're so far ahead of the rest of the pack as far as the dating stuff is concerned. It's not even fair. I mean, it's a complete unfair advantage to be able to do this because most people, as I say, are sitting there waiting for some non-existent matches to appear on their dating apps, and they're getting absolutely no action whatsoever, or very little action. Okay, if you can do this stuff, then you're really ahead of the game. But the most important aspect of it, in terms of the masculinity and the life advice stuff, is just that you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and that really is the final point of all. You should decide for yourself, right? Every single day, I'm going to do something that's outside of my comfort zone, okay, or slightly outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to push the boundaries of what I think that I can do ever so slightly on a daily basis. So for myself, I found socializing very difficult. I was always very introverted, very shy, found it very difficult to socialize with people, etc., etc. And I would deliberately put myself into challenging social situations, and not even necessarily just concerned with meeting girls, but just social situations in general. I'd be at a party, go up to a group of 6 people and just start a conversation with them, go up to a group of 10, start shooting the shit with them, making them laugh, having a joke around, okay? All stuff that was completely alien to me, but I was doing it to deliberately desensitize myself to something that I found hard. And you know what? It worked because over a period of time, you start to realize, firstly, okay, the world's not going to collapse just because I went and spoke to a bunch of people. The worst thing can happen is it's slightly cringe and I walk off and I feel like a bit of an idiot, and that's it. Often that doesn't happen. Often people admire the fact that you've got a bit of balls, you've got a bit of chutzpah, you've got something about you, and they will welcome, having a conversation with you, okay? Might not lead to anything amazing. That's not the point. The point is you did something that you felt uncomfortable with, okay? So I would highly recommend that. And but equally, it could be something different. It could be, okay, I'm just going to compliment somebody I find attractive on a daily basis. It could be, I'm gonna, what, if you particularly nervous about these things, it could be like, right, I'm going to just spend a couple of minutes having a longer conversation with the barista in Starbucks. Just ask them about their day, ask them about their plans for the weekend, ask them about, you know, where they're going on holiday, just to sort of extend socially what you're comfortable with. Little incremental things. It can also be outside of the social realm. It might be something to do with like heights. It might be something to do with, you know, doing an activity that's always scared you a little bit. Like I don't particularly like heights. So for me, it could be something like, right, I'm going to start climbing. And maybe I start climbing on a smaller scale and then I try to build it up and build it up. And then I sort of decrease my sensitivity towards that. It could be something to do with water. If you don't like water, you know, swimming, learning to swim if you can't swim, all of these different things. Doing things outside of your comfort zone and learning from them. It's just this incredibly powerful thing. And it will really help to, it's not even about the activity itself. It's going to help to round you out as a man, as an individual. Okay. So in summary then, 5 things that will make any man a savage. The first one is training daily or at least a minimum of 5 times per week. The second is some form of combat sports. The third is getting used to being disagreeable or even confrontational and just standing your ground in conversation. The fourth is learning to cold approach. That is to approach women you find attractive that you don't know in real life. And the fifth is, again, just doing something outside of your comfort zone, pushing the envelope ever so slightly every single day. Hope that advice has helped you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This stuff has certainly absolutely helped me. I've done all of this stuff myself in real life, and it's completely transformed me and the way that I live. And I'm very, very grateful for having sort of intuitively learned that these things are important. So I'm passing it on to you. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, give me a like on your way out and hit notifications. And if you think this is helpful or could be helpful to anybody you know, please send them the link to the video or share it on your social media. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.